Turki Alalshiekh. Is he the new face of boxing? Well, he's trying to bring us some of the biggest fights in 2024. We're going to discuss this and more on the Parry's Weekly Boxing.
Actually, now we're going to show you how to catch the jab. Actually, in boxing, it's called parrying.
Peace. Welcome to another episode of the Parry's Weekly Boxing Report. I'm your host, Bomani UFG. I want to ask you, please jab that like button, uppercut that subscribe button, lead hook that share button, and throw a combination at the notification bell. You can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at the Parry 101, and at TikTok at the.parry.101. Appreciate y'all for joining me again. Flying solo dolo. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Jay Black. You know what it is. This is the Parry where we don't pull and duck no punches. And the Parry is fundamental to boxing. And this is our weekly boxing report, man. We got a lot to discuss. A lot on the agenda, but my man Turki Alalshiekh, who's just did an interview on DAZN, and I think he said a lot of good things, some interesting things. He's definitely a fan of the sport. Definitely wants to see the sport grow, and he's from Saudi Arabia. For those who don't know, he has the full backing of the royal family of the Saudis. So he definitely messing with that oil money, right? So it seems like his funds is going to be endless supply of funds to give the fighters and these promoters to put on the biggest fights possible. He spoke about bringing Devin Haney and Tank Davis. He's got the Usyk Fury fight happening. Also Ngannou, Joshua. I mean, it just seemed like this guy's such a big fan of the sport that he wants to see these big fights, and he don't mind paying and doing things that some of these promoters don't want to do, which is take the risk to put the money out there and give the fans the fights that we want to see. So the question today is, one, are we going to get Tank Davis and Devin Haney in 2024? Could this man possibly make this happen? But I want to play a couple clips from some of the interviews that he's done. Well, one of the interviews that he did on DAZN with the brother. The brother's name escapes me. I'll put his name up on the screen when this video comes out. But the interview I thought was interesting. I thought he said a lot of great things. He mentioned some things that, here on the Parry that we mentioned was probably going wrong with the sport. One being like the fact that there's too many belts, too many promoters getting in the way of big fights, and he's trying to cut through all the red tape to make sure that we get the fight that we want to see, and it seems like that he wants to see. So I'm going to play a clip from the interview, Turki Alalshiekh, and where he talks about bringing Devin Haney and Tank Davis and wanting to have a meeting with Al Heyman. Check this out.
The same when it comes to boxing.
Yeah.
One thing we haven't seen yet is some of the big Americans, Gervonta Davis, Shakur Stevenson.
I want him. Yeah. And I send message now from you to Heyman. Let's do job, brother. But Haney, I want to see Haney in my country. and I send message from you now to him. I will try to do it in 24. And David, of course, we want him in my country.
Maybe them two against each other.
Man, he wants to meet with Al Heyman. Now, if you've been paying attention to some of the moves he's been making, you know we got the Usyk Fury fight coming up next, which is happening in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. And this is all his money. He seemed to be working a lot with DAZN and Matchroom and Queensberry Promotions. After that, they're putting on Ngannou versus Anthony Joshua. And he's talking about what's following, what he wants to follow up with these fights with. He's talking about the winner of AJ versus Ngannou is going to fight the winner of Fury Usyk. So it's a possibility that Francis Ngannou, if he happens to win this fight and become a 1-1 professional boxer, will get a chance to fight for the undisputed world championship. Now, I can't say I agree with that, but this man does have a vision, right? He does have a vision of where he wants to take the sport and put some of the biggest fights possible out there. Maybe we'll get an Anthony Joshua versus Usyk 3. He mentioned about still wanting to put on Wilder AJ. He spoke about having Bivol versus Beterbiev. Like all the biggest fights that us as fans want to see, this man is willing to pay for and have over in Saudi Arabia and Riyadh. But the next fight after after Usyk Fury, Joshua and Ngannou, and on the undercard of this fight, we have according to Mike Coppinger, Joseph Parker will fight Zheli Zhang on the March 8th co-feature to Anthony Joshua, Francis Ngannou in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. Sources tell ESPN. Parker coming off a dominant win over Deontay Wilder. Zhang scored back-to-back stoppages over Joy George last year. Now, you know, the undercard to this fight, I ain't gonna lie, is kind of underwhelming, but I will say the Zhang-Joseph Parker fight does look interesting. I probably would have wanted to see Wilder, but coming off that last performance from Wilder, I kind of understand maybe he needs another tune-up fight to go ahead and step up to that level because Zhang is no joke. So these are the type of fights that my man Turki Alalshiekh is putting on, man. So the question is he a savior to boxing right now? Like, because we've been complaining for as long as we've probably been fight fans for the last maybe 15, 20 years that we can't get the fights that we want to see. They're few far in between. And he's trying to put back-to-back-to-back bangers out there for us. Dmitry Bivol and Arthur Beterbiev for the undisputed light heavyweight championship. Huge fight. You know what? I'll let him speak for himself. Now, this clip is about 4 minutes, but listen to what he has to say so you can understand his vision and where he's trying to go with this.
We've had so much going on, but boxing seems to be number one.
Because I'm fans of boxing.
This is why.
Yeah. The boxing, and I talk now with, in the same time, I study it. I have people to study it, what I talk about. In the 70s and the beginning of the 80s, the sport number one in the world was boxing.
Yeah.
Now, I am very sad. And the last result I have, before we go inside it deeper, the boxing was the 14th.
14th.
There is a lot of reason. Some of it, there is not a lot of fighters as a charismatic and character now. There is a lot of problem of the promoter. They doesn't want to do the strongest fight because it costs a lot. Some fighter doesn't want to do the strongest fight.
Yeah.
And there is 4 company, 4 belt.
So many problems.
So many problems, you know, and also, and you need to catch the youngest generation now.
Yeah.
You need to have good poster, good music, good show. You
Good
understand?
trailer, good trailers.
DJ, you know, you
Yeah.
understand me? Good promotion. Use a lot of cameras, use a lot of things. Similar to what UFC now do. They do it right because they are company, and they are all the only company. For that, we are coming with new strategy and new idea and new vision with sporting of the vision of 2030 in our country, to do and deliver to the market the best fight with good price and make the fight that people want to see it.
Yes.
We don't want to waste time. Tyson Fury is 35 now, around 35.
Yeah.
Joshua around 33, I think. Usyk around 36. Wilder 38, 37. Artur now 39 next week. Why we are losing the time? The people need to see Joshua Fury Joshua. Need to see Joshua Wilder. I hope Wilder come back. You know, and there is rumor, and you know it. The fight, it was been between Joshua and Wilder.
Yeah.
But you see the result and the body condition of Wilder now. It will not be reasonable to have the fight now. We want him to come back. And I see Barker, what he's doing, amazing show, and he's one of the best boxer come back now.
Yeah.
And this year. The people now, we need to see Artur Bivol, need to see what I want to see. I want to see the result of Artur and Bivol play against Opetaya.
Oh, okay.
You understand me?
So the winner of Bivol Beterbiev to fight Opetaya.
Yeah, this is what I hope to have.
Same. I wish for this as well.
We need to see this fight. Before, in our generation, we see all the greatest fighters. If I ask you, give me 20 or 30 names about the athlete in America, half of them in the 70 of the 80, you will say boxer.
Boxers.
No?
All of them.
No, give me name.
No, we struggle.
Yeah.
We struggle. But this is what you're changing, and you've done it so quick. Like,
As you can see, man, well, shout out to Ade Oladipo for a great interview. But His Excellency, as they call him, he seems to know everything that's wrong with the sport and what's getting in the way from the sport progressing. You hear him talk about the mini belts, the promotional companies, and the need to go out there and attract the youth to the sport, and how you can't name, most people can't name any top athletes in the sport like we could have back in the day when you had your Sugar Ray Leonards and the Muhammad Ali's and the Marvin Haglers, because at one point boxing was the #1 sport in America, but now that's the NFL and the NBA and all these other sports is taking precedent over the sport that we love, which is boxing. You hear him talking about Arthur Beterbiev and them fighting the cruiserweight champ. You hear him talking about Wilder, Joshua, him wanting Wilder to come back. He wants to meet with Al Heyman. He wants to pay these guys. He wants to put on the best fights. You could tell he's a boxing fan. In the interview, he mentioned how his favorite fighters, Ade Oladipo, was asking him if he can guess what his favorite fighters was. And he went through a slew of names: Mike Tyson, Muhammad Ali. And he said his favorite fighter was Larry Holmes and Roberto Duran, where you got to be a hardcore boxing fan to really, really appreciate those fighters and understand what their reputation is and what their record is like and their style of fighting. And to be a fan of Larry Holmes or a fan of Roberto Duran, you got to be a hardcore fan and definitely not a casual. So, I like where this is going. I think Al Heyman should probably meet with this man so we could get some of the fights we want to see, man. Because according to certain reports, what we're going to talk about later, PBC has a date for their first event on Amazon Prime and reported who's going to be their first fight and who's probably going to be their next fight after that. But we don't know what the business model is going to be. Is it going to be all pay-per-view? Is it going to be some pay-per-view? We don't know how this is going to go. But I think they're just waiting for Amazon to create the platform to do pay-per-view on Amazon, and then it's going to launch, I believe, on March 30th. But His Excellency Turki Alalshiekh, again, he's seeming like he's about to become the face of boxing, and he's even getting promotional companies like Queensberry and Matchroom to work together. It's been reported that Queensberry and Matchroom are going to do business, and they're going to have a 5-fight tournament courtesy of His Excellency. He's putting the bread up, and they're going to match fighters from each promotional company and have like a little mini tournament. I can't wait for this. This is going to be an exciting year of boxing, but it's just unfortunate that a lot of these big fights and great fights are going to be taking place in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. We need some of these fights to happen over here in the States. I would like to go watch some of these fights on the soil of North America. But nonetheless, he's trying to create a new, I guess, culture around sports and entertainment in his country. Him and the royal family of Saudi Arabia, they're trying to create make, I guess, Saudi Arabia some kind of destination, and boxing being, the number one sport in the world, in my opinion. I just like where this is going, man. Give me your thoughts. Leave your thoughts down in the comment section. Let me know if you think this is a good thing for boxing. Is it a bad thing? Is he just gonna be another swanky promoter, out here just like the rest of the reputation that some of these have of just robbing the fighters and not giving the fans the fights they want to see? Is he swindling us? I mean, this guy knows his stuff, man, and he knows what's in the way of the sport progressing. So I'm interested to see where this goes. Pretty much every card that's lined up so far for 2024 in Riyadh, I'm looking forward to. Definitely want to see Joshua Ngannou. We probably do a fight prediction for that. Definitely want to see the undercard to that, which is Zhang versus Joseph Parker. That should be interesting. As well as, of course, in February, we're going to get what they call a Ring of Fire between the Undisputed Heavyweight Championship bout between Tyson Fury and Alexander Usyk. And the winner of Joshua Ngannou gets the winner of Fury Usyk after the rematch. I believe they have a rematch for that. So boxing in 2024 is looking good. And hopefully, boxing fans, we can get Devin Haney, Tank Davis, or Abdul Wahid over in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, if need be. And that's one of the biggest fights in boxing. But we see how this goes. Let's see if Al Heyman actually goes sit down with him and try to do some business. Don't let Matchroom and DAZN get all of the money, man. Like, some of the brothers on PBC need to go over there and get some of this money, because it looks like he's paying top dollar. Speaking of PBC, we have a report here. According to Blue Blood Sports TV, shout out to Blue Blood, Gervonta Abdul Wahid Davis will face off with Jose El Rayo Venezuela on PBC's premiere card for Amazon Prime. I don't know how I feel about this one, y'all. But I guess if we're going to get a big fight from Tank has had a little layoff after fighting Ryan Garcia. He did go to jail, for a little bit, had to sit down for a second. I believe he got that the ankle monitor on right now. So maybe he needs a little, I guess you could say, a tune-up. For those who know, Jose Venezuela, he just knocked out Colbert a few months ago, with a brutal knockout. Do I want to see him versus Tank Davis? Not really. I really would like to see Tank fight a bigger name, maybe a Frank Martin or a Shakur and of course Devin Haney. But maybe those fights are coming down the line. And I think if somebody like His Excellency Turki Alalshiekh gets involved, again, maybe we could get those fights. Once again, let me just remind y'all to jab that like button, uppercut that subscribe button, lead hook that share button, drop the comment in the comment section, and throw a combination at the notification bell. You can follow us on Twitter, Instagram at the Parry101, and on TikTok at the.parry.101. Just appreciate y'all support, man. Once again, this is the Parry's Weekly Boxing Report. Next, Cinco de Mayo weekend. It's being reported that Canelo's next fight, because I believe he has a 3-fight deal with PBC. He already done beat up on who we call Lil Charlo, Jamel Charlo, last year. And reportedly, I guess on the next card, I'm believing after Tank Davis, it'll be Canelo Alvarez versus Big Charlo, Jamal Charlo. You know what I'm saying? Who me and my brother Jay Black like to call Mr. O.E. Crab. But that's you got to go back into the archives, see what we talking about with that. I'm going to leave that alone. I don't know how I feel about this one. I'm still looking forward to the David Benavidez versus Canelo fight. But, this is interesting. Could Jamal, avenge his brother's loss? I mean, his brother didn't even do nothing for himself in that ring. He was out there ducking and dodging and running the whole fight. I do think Jamal will put up a better fight. Will he win? We'll discuss that when we get to our fight predictions, whenever that fight gets announced and we get closer to that fight. We'll discuss it, man. But nonetheless, this is a fight I wanted to see a few years ago. I don't know about coming off a Jose Benavidez victory. He looked good, but you can see there was still a little rust. He didn't look 100% sharp, but he looked good, and he did what he had to do in there. But coming off a Jose Benavidez fight, he gets a Canelo fight. This is a fight that should have happened a few years ago, probably about 3 years ago, 4 years ago. But nonetheless, it's happening. So, big ups to Jamal Charlo. Looking forward to that one. Definitely going to tune in for that one. Another fight that has been announced. I don't think there's a date attached to it, but Lomachenko's supposed to be fighting George Kambosos or Kambosis, or however we say that. Kambosos' last fight, he didn't look that great in it. Lomachenko is also coming off a loss to Devin Haney in his last fight. Also, he was over in Ukraine fighting wars and all of this and that. So, interesting fight. I think Lomachenko should probably win that fight, but nonetheless, we all know Kambosos' game. He's definitely no sucker, but he's fighting one of the best fighters in the world. But they both took a loss and took a L to Devin the Dream Haney. So that's what's coming up on Top Rank. Hopefully it's not pay-per-view, but who knows? Probably be on ESPN or ESPN Plus. I definitely will tune into that one as well. But that's what we got. And also another news, Sandor Martin, who, if you remember, he gave Teofimo Lopez his introduction to the 140-pound division. And now he's signed up with Top Rank. I don't know if he's looking for a rematch with Teofimo Lopez, or if they're going to try to get him that fight. He is the mandatory for Devin Haney's WBC belt, junior welterweight title. But I think Devin Haney's looking for a bigger fight, but we'll see what happens. Sandor Martin's definitely no pushover, 42-3, 15 knockouts. He gave Teofimo Lopez all he can handle. Some people think he beat Teofimo, but it was definitely a good fight, close fight. I don't know how he'll fare against Devin Haney, but nonetheless, he's not no pushover. So we'll see what happens with him in Top Rank and how that relationship develops and how that plays out. Hopefully they can give him a big fight. If he can't get the Haney fight, maybe they could get him up against Matias, and the winner of that fight gets to move on to fight Devin or fight Teofimo or in the unification bout. So, we'll see what happens. But nonetheless, Sandor Martin signed with Top Rank. Also, another news, man. You see that Ryan Garcia and Oscar De La Hoya been going back and forth on Twitter. It's being reported by Oscar De La Hoya. He's saying that fighters are out overpricing themselves. I believe the fighters' names is probably referencing Raleigh Romero. I don't know who else they had on the in the works for Ryan Garcia, but I do know that he wants. He's saying that he's trying to make a fight between Ryan Garcia. Let me go to my Twitter. Let's go to Twitter. Oscar De La Hoya. January 17 tweets, looking like Ryan Garcia versus Jose Ramirez is getting close to happening. But the funny thing is, you see Ryan Garcia tweets, no Ramirez, let's make that clear. Keep it a bean. I'm not interested in that fight. But, considering that Ryan Garcia isn't a champion, he do need to move up in competition and make a name for himself and maybe put himself in position to get a title shot. Jose Ramirez is not a bad option. And to be honest, I'm not gonna say that Ryan Garcia is clearly going to win that fight, man. It's hard to say. It's really hard to say. Considering, his last performance against Duarte wasn't bad, but he's not a champion, and nor has he beaten any former champions, I don't believe. Oh, yes, he has, Luke Campbell. But nonetheless, Raleigh Romero apparently, according to Oscar De La Hoya, is overpricing himself. He backed out of the Devin Haney fight for whatever reason. So now he's going to get Jose Ramirez, who he don't want to fight. Very interesting, man. But we'll see how that develops. His relationship with Oscar De La Hoya is kind of rocky. And I don't understand why he even backed out the fight with Devin Haney. That would have been a great fight. That would have been a big fight. Would have been a pay-per-view fight. And it would have been his first title, his first opportunity to get a world title and capture a world title. But he chose to back out. Some people believe that Floyd Mayweather has something to do with that. If you would have been following some of the stories on Twitter and on social media, you saw that Ryan Garcia was out jogging with Floyd. Seemed like Floyd was in his ear and tried to push him towards fighting Raleigh. But Raleigh probably because he has the belt, he might believe he's the A side. And all this A side, B side shit, excuse my language, is it's messing up the sport, man, which is, again, I think Turki Alalshiekh is on to something. Listen, man, let's cut through all the red tape and make the fights happen, man. Ain't no A side, B side. Just make the fight happen. That's all we care about as fans. And we just want to see the best fight the best. So, with that said, thank y'all for joining me on another episode of the Parry's Weekly Boxing Report. Going to ask y'all again to please jab that like button, uppercut that subscribe button, lead hook that share button, drop the comment in the comment section, and throw a combination at the notification bell. Remember, this is the Parry, where we don't pull or duck no punches, and the parry is fundamental to boxing. This is your brother and your host, Bomani UFG, signing off. And thank y'all for joining me on another episode of the Parry's Weekly Boxing Report. And we out. Peace.
Actually, now we're going to show you how to catch the jab. Actually, in boxing, it's called parrying.